Hello, everyone. Good morning. Hello, everyone. I'm Steve Lentini, and welcome to my live. It's episode 7 out of 13 weekly on leadership. And today, the episode's about how leaders accidentally train teams to play safe. And so, a little bit about my work. I've trademarked the acorn brain, and what that stands for is the little voice in most people's heads. I know it's in my own. And when I ask people the question if they have a little voice that's insidiously talking to them, mostly everyone is honest and answers, yeah, of course, I have that little voice. The key is whether you believe your brain or not. So, one of the books I've written recently is Your Brain is Brilliant, but It's Not Always Your Friend. And the other thing the brain does, and neuro researchers are proving this, and I wrote the book No BS Coaching last year, Wake Up from the BS You Tell Yourself. We gather stories about our teams, our people, our neighbors, our friends. And Dr. James Doty talks about understanding how the subconscious works. He says, think of it this way: a file system and a bloodhound. And whatever you put in the file system, the bloodhound goes searching for evidence of that, despite any evidence to the contrary. It's like you gave the bloodhound my t-shirt and said, all right, here, go find Steve. The only scent that that bloodhound is looking for is mine, the one that you gave him to find. It's the same way that your mind works. And most people don't question their own thinking. So here's what they're doing. And leaders, this is really the reason that you're feeling like people don't tell you the truth, or they don't want to take risks. They're not challenging the status quo because of your reactions. And they might be subtle, like a shrug or a sigh or a look on your face. It's also your reaction. So if you're reacting to a thought, or especially a primal emotion, if you're reacting to a primal emotion, anger, stress, frustration, anxiety, disappointment, people sense that. And now you're modeling that. And now they're afraid to tell you the truth. They're afraid that you don't want to hear it. They're afraid to take risks. And now you're building a culture of a team that accidentally plays it safe. I've had CEOs tell me that I'm coaching say, I'm not sure everyone's telling me the truth. So what do you do? What are ways to help people understand that that's what you want? And maybe even despite some days you not appearing that way. You tell people, hey, listen, if I have a reaction to something, tell me, call me out. Say, you just reacted. Are you upset? Did you not like this idea? When there's a failure on the team, call it a lesson, a learn. Don't use the word failure. Hey, what did we learn from this? It didn't go the way we planned. It didn't go the way we expected. What did we learn from it? Good work, stepping out and trying it. So what do we try next? Let's have some ideas. Then you set boundaries, and I talked about this in the last episode, about how the team meetings go when people share. You set the boundary, no reactions, no sighs, no shrugs, no eye rolls. We listen to each idea and we don't make it wrong. We consider it. At least 10% of what anybody is saying is probably true. And I suspect it's more than 10%. So a good way to hear people's ideas is to say, all right, great, let's write this down. I like that part. And I'd like some other ideas. What are other ideas? So that you're encouraging people to share and you're setting the boundaries around reactions. Because again, most people aren't trained to reprogram their mind. They're listening to this little voice in their head. So if you're spending a lot of time in reactions, then your brain is running you. George Ivanovich Gurdjieff in the early 1900s would call the brain the machine, and he'd say, Will you let the machine run you, or will you run it? And maybe he did some research about Rainer Maria Rilke, who in the 1800s called that voice the little hooligan. And he would ask people, will you listen to the little hooligan, or will you let it run you? So there is today, thankfully, a lot of research by neuro researchers doing what's called an fMRI. It's a facilitated MRI. So they're giving people instructions during an MRI, and they're recording the reaction in the brain where certain things light up in the brain. For example, on the right side of the neocortex, the frontal cortex, they find negative thoughts are stored there. And when they give people exercises to help them become more powerful, you could use the word positive, they light up on the left side of the brain, on the opposite side of the brain. And they've noted for people that are mostly negative or extremely negative, that as they teach them ways to train their brain not to react, but to respond in more powerful ways, they note new neural pathways opening, like a stroke victim, that you can train your mind. And leaders, it's really important to do the work of reprogramming your mind. Whether you use my work or anybody else's, there's a lot of people that do this work. R.J. Spina, Marshall Goldsmith, David Baer, he calls it the mind hack. Dr. Daniel Amen actually has clinics helping people who are extremely run by their brain, right? So they have a lot of challenges in their life. And I'm sure that he has coaches and people that work with people that are not disabled by their brain. I mean, literally, there are people who are frozen, stuck in sadness, depression, feeling less than others, feeling like everything they touch turns to crap. Those are challenges that need a professional. Coaching is to help people that have a basic understanding that they can run their mind. And the goal is to develop a level of thinking above your thinking. Dr. Srikumar Rao wrote about that and talks about it in his book, Are You Ready to Succeed? And he's done other work. Dr. Roland Alexander wrote Wise Mind, Open Mind. There's a lot of work about this today. Don't take my word for it. In fact, I wrote the book, You Might Be Full of Shit If, a few years ago during COVID. And I freely say, listen, I'm full of shit somewhere, and we all are. We have to get over ourselves. And sometimes CEOs are so powerful, people are afraid of them because they have big egos telling them, this little brain is telling them they're right. That's the thing to be cautious of. The brain that has us believing we're right and we're going to let people know. And there's clues. There's clues. So if you're defending all the time, if you're not accepting feedback, if you are upset with people on your executive team, guess what? They're not going to tell you the truth. They're not going to take risks. And then they model that behavior to their teams. Now you have a culture that won't take risks, that won't speak up, that won't give people the feedback that's required so that we can grow, so that the team can grow. It's called psychological safety. You're not giving people psychological safety when you're living as a reaction, as Gurdjieff used to say. You can live your life as a reaction. That's victim mode. A powerful creator is not stuck in primal thinking. Plus, you can feel it in your body. When you're happy and joyful and grateful and feeling powerful, you don't have any of those stress-related feelings in your body. You feel good. When you don't feel so good, you're feeling pressure, your tightness from the shoulders up to the neck, you're in your head, and you're feeling anxious, angry, disappointed, stressed, sad, blue, feeling like nothing's working. Those are primal thoughts and called low frequency thoughts by R.J. Spina. And there's research that for people that spend more time in low frequency, primal thinking, they have a lower return on investment in their lives, meaning they create more of that. They create more challenges and negative events because that is what's going on in their mind, which indicates that we have a power. That's what I say, that most people tell a victim story, a tale of woe, or even to themselves, by the way. If that's going on in your mind, it's because you're afraid of the power you have to create. You're not taking accountability. And start with the end in mind. What would you like to create? And what type of person creates that? What does that person look like? It's what questions, not why, and not even how. It's what action can I take? When you're feeling stuck, it's what's new. What new action can I take? What's the gift in this? What is life urging me to learn? And when your brain is very active and very negative, there's a gift in that. It's actually urging you to train it. Just think about the power of negative thinking. It's actually been helpful for people that catch it. If you lived in a cave and you decided, well, living in a cave sucked, but you never did anything about it, you'd still be in a cave. Humanity would still be in a cave. But the negative thought about, hey, this sucks, we need better living conditions. It's cold, we need heat. It's hot, we need air conditioning. Wow, I got so many, while you were out, notes on my desk. I need something better to communicate with people, something more immediate. It was negative thinking that led to all of our advances in humanity. From that came the fax, then the cell phone, now texting and scanning, and all this immediate way to do things. And to now we don't have to store massive amounts of papers in files. It's everything in computer files. We've become more productive because somebody started with a complaint, and from that complaint, they created something new. That's the purpose of a negative thought. But are you even aware of your behavior as a leader in front of your teams? If you believe that mostly you have a team that's playing it safe and people that are not willing to tell you the truth on your leadership teams, it's your responsibility. You're creating it. Somewhere you're modeling it. Think about it. Ask people, hey, what am I modeling? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like you can tell me the truth? Ask people. Get a coach. I recommend a 360. First thing, when companies come to me, whether it's the board of directors or the CEO themselves, hey, I want you to come do some work in my company, help the culture. We're complaining too much. We're gossiping too much. I feel like no one's telling me the truth. I feel like we play it safe. I help with that. And the first thing I recommend and do, if they're going to stay a client of mine, they do a 360. They get feedback from others. And I give them the theme. Here's what the 3 major points are, or 4, no more than 5 typically. Now we have a real problem if there's 10 things to work on. Maybe they shouldn't be the CEO. But typically there's a theme of at least 3 things that if the CEO worked on them, it would improve the culture of the company. They'd start to see better results because they're taking accountability. They're getting feedback. They understand their responsibility, and they start to manage the mind. They develop a level of thinking above their thinking. They're observing events like clouds passing by. Some days there's dark clouds. Some days there's storm clouds. Some days there's no clouds. There's blue sky. Some days there's white puffy clouds. But you're only observing, and you say, wow, today's a challenge. This challenge, what is the gift in this? What can we learn from it? What can we do that's new? What can we do that will stretch us? What's uncomfortable for us to do? And it might be starting with conversations that are truthful, authentic, what you tangibly know to be true. And encourage others to share what they tangibly know to be true and set the boundaries. so that people aren't rolling their eyes and looking at each other like, oh, there goes Mary again, there goes Joe again. Ultimately, whoever's running the meeting is responsible for that. And if you're the CEO and you're meeting with your executive teams, you're responsible. And then you're creating the behavior that they will model because of the behaviors you model. No complaining, no victim mode, no woe is me, no gossiping in a company. If you're a leader, even of a department, and you're complaining with, let's say you're complaining with other leaders about other departments, you're gossiping. The rule about a complaint and a grievance is two things. There's two things. You've got something going on in your head about the company, the leaders, your team. Here's the rule. If you can do something about it, then do it. That means you take it to the person or people that can do something about it. You're not complaining, which is energy wasting, and it's primal. There's a low return on investment. Look at the reality shows for proof. They only bring drama every single time. And people love those shows because people are so messed up. They're having fights and arguments. And then people at home say, wow, we don't have that going on. It's the okay, not okay theory. When we see people that are not okay, we feel okay. It's human. You may catch yourself in something that's primal, low frequency, negative. That's human. It's okay. Catching it is the awake, powerful leader. And they correct it in themselves and they model that for others. They know they're accountable for their results. Whatever's showing up in your company, you're responsible for it somewhere. And that's what I'm urging people to do. And that's the work I do. You got to prove it to yourself. Don't take my word for it. And there's a lot of people that are doing this work. Why? Why is there such a big market for people to do the work I'm doing? Because it's necessary. And it's helping humanity advance from what I call small-minded, limited thinking, expanding into our power to create, into limitless thinking, which models what we live in. We live in a miracle. I keep this next to my desk. Here, I'll show you. I keep a marble next to my desk with the earth painted on it to remind me of how small we really are and that we live in something we really don't understand. And that's enough. All we have to know is we live in something much bigger than we are. Now, I recommend you have a North Star, a higher power. For me, it's God, whatever you want to call it. And I had a near-death experience on November 18th, 2002. And I got a glimpse at what's next. It was way beyond my comprehension, which is just like the universe. Just like the universe we live in. It's way beyond our comprehension. And yet in our ego down on this earth, which we think is so big, the ego has us feeling like we're right. And if you're a CEO with that attitude, you are the reason that teams play safe around you and won't tell you the truth. It takes work. And I do this work with multiple levels of companies. So it starts with the CEO and the executive team, and then it transfers down to officers, directors, managers, and in some cases, even supervisors. I'm helping them build a management team that models this behavior of accountability and learning to develop a level of thinking above their thinking, not to believe their brain. So again, I have resources. No BS coaching. Wake up from the BS you tell yourself. They're all available on Amazon, or you can email me, Steve at stevelentini.com. Got to get used to doing that on the camera. Your brain is brilliant. I wrote that afterwards, but it's not always your friend. Again, there's strategies in here on how to reprogram the mind. I also wrote How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon. Program your mind for success. I'm a dragon, I'm born in the year of the dragon, so I took license with that. That's before I knew the movie was coming out with real actors, How to Train Your Mind, written by a dragon. Again, you can reach me by emailing steve@stevelentini.com. There, I got better at that. I don't want to be perfect. And I don't want encourage any of my clients to be perfect. They're human. It's okay. We learn by falling. That's learning. They're not failures. Did you learn to walk without falling? If you don't remember, did any of your children learn to walk without falling? If you don't have children, did any of your nephews and nieces learn to walk without falling? How about the neighbor's children, your friends' children? Did anyone learn to walk without falling? That's life. We're here to enjoy it, to live and learn. Where did that come from? Live and learn. We're so focused on doing the right thing all the time. Let's just be focused on learning. Because there's a lot of work to do in humanity to overcome small-minded thinking. We see it everywhere. And sadly, today, even our leaders in government and in religion are very small-minded, and pointing the finger. We're right. No, we're right. No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong. It's not healthy. And then what happens is they expect the general population to behave better. We're being led by people who are small-minded. And the thing that you can do about it is in your company, you can model limitless thinking and teach people they don't have to believe their brain. But first you have to have a conversation about it and get help, get a coach. Doesn't matter if it's me. If this resonates with you, you want to ask me about coaching, fine. You email me, steve@stevelentini.com. I'm glad to help. I'll give you free coaching. I'll send you one of my books. I'm not here to sell anything. I'm here to help people. Reach out if you have questions. I'll even answer questions here on the next live. Episode 8. Here's what I'm going to talk about next week. The next episode will explore a leadership habit that can shift teams' culture surprisingly quickly. And I'll give you some clues in today's episode. And I have other ways that'll help you build a healthy culture, one where people don't play it safe and they'll share with you the truth. If that's of interest, let me know. Thank you. I'm grateful.